Good evening, St. Louis, and welcome into Shavitz Arena. I'm Matthew Rocchio. That is Eric Sontag, and this is the Billikens Central postgame on STL Sports Central. And the Billikens win another one. They've opened the season 2-0, and this time another shellacking. It's 108-86 over the Chicago State Cougars. It was a big win, Eric Sontag. It was a little rough, though, for the majority of the first half and the beginning of the second half. What were your opening thoughts in that one?
Yeah, it was a little dicey there for a little while. Like the game just felt really loose. It almost felt like an NBA game to a certain extent with the final score of 108-86. I feel like that the game was a little raggedy. Just the pace was so fast for both sides. I think SLU deep down knew that like this team couldn't really threaten them. And I just feel like the defensive intensity wasn't there most of the game until, oh my God, that spurt in the second half from the small lineup, where they score 7 points in 18 seconds. It was Thames and Jones, and then the three from Sharma just blew the roof off the place. Like, that's the defensive intensity this team needs, because they have the depth where they can wear teams down this season, where we did not see that at all last season. The numbers it was a 29-1 run over a 6-minute stretch, and that kind of that 7 points in 18 seconds was the highlight there. So I think that's just what we're seeing with this team. They should be able to wear teams down as the season goes on, or as games go on throughout the season, and just go on these big spurts. And that definitely ended up being the difference in this one.
And right there, that is our money moment of the game. The money moment of the game is brought to you by Home Bank. They have been our partner from day one, the team behind our team here at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001, member FDIC. That is our money moment of the game. It's when Josh Schertz, for the first time, he didn't use this in the scrimmages. He didn't use this in the first game of the season. He goes to the super small lineup of chaos that he had kind of previewed with us, the media, this summer and into the fall. And it was the big stretch with Quentin Jones, Ishan Sharma, Brady Dunlap, Kellen Thames, and then Amari McCautry. Tallest player, 6'7". Shortest player, I think, would have been only 6'5". So just 5 guys within 6'5" to 6'7", and they created a plus 12 run across just a minute 50. That was really when the game changed. That is our money moment of the game, brought to you by our partners at Home Bank. Yes, check them out at homebank.bank, myhomebank.bank, or call them right there on the screen, 855-577-2001. Business isn't just about numbers, it's about relationships. And Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. They were our team behind STL Sports Central from day one. 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank, your business partner. Eric Sontag, one of the big things that jumped out, it was a sloppy game, like you said. 9 assists and 8 turnovers in the first half for the Billikens. They looked like they were getting it solved. They had 8 assists to just 1 turnover for the first 13 minutes of the second half. Then things fall apart. They go with a youth lineup, and that lineup does only get 1 assist with, I think, 6 turnovers over the next 5 or 6 minutes. So the game was sloppy, but you can kind of isolate parts of the game and see where the sloppiness plays in. The freshmen are playing. Josh Schertz is doing a little in-game coaching, and then things get a little out of hand for a little bit. But the game was way too close to start in the second half. Still only like a 10-point game. Robbie Avila calls for the ball, gets an and one, and then we talked about that super small lineup getting that run. But prior to that, way too close for comfort. This is one of the worst teams in college basketball by Ken Pom, Chicago State. It shouldn't be a 10-point game at that point.
No, it should not. Yeah, they are literally one of the worst teams in the country, ranked 362 out of 365 is Chicago State. I know, like, I obviously was not worried going into the game about the Billikens, whether they're going to win or lose. So I had, like, basically keys to the game or things I just wanted to keep my eye on, just to focus on. And you mentioned the turnovers, because that was a big bugaboo for this team last year, both committing them and not forcing enough. And that's something I'm keeping an eye on here this season. I saw you after the SEMO game, you talked about how there's no outstanding ball handlers on this team. Like Yuri Collins is not walking through that door this season. Robbie obviously struggled with turnovers a lot last season. And the SEMO game, the SLU committed 15 turnovers, only forced 9. Tonight, they also committed 15 turnovers. That's not good enough. They did force 15 tonight, but obviously Chicago State is a worse team than even SEMO is. So that is something it's maybe one of, if not my biggest concerns about this team as they start playing competition. You saw last year, you play these physical teams in the A10 like BCU and Dayton, and SLU was just getting bullied off the court last season, turning over the ball too much, and not being able to get in there defensively and turn the over team over. That was extremely frustrating to watch last season. So that was one of the negatives for tonight for me was the turnovers, still committing way too many. But you're right. There were kind of spurts where different lineups, some inexperience, but just overall, it's something to keep an eye on this season.
Any concern that to get those 18 assists, they have to spread them out across 8 players? The leading assist on the team was just 3 assists, and that was Kellen Thames, Quentin Jones, and Trey Green. Robbie Avila still only 2 assists in the game and in the season. A little concerned that so much of the playmaking has to get spread out?
Yeah, I mean, you want to have a guy that you know is the guy that's going to run the show. And I'm guessing, I guess it's Quentin Jones that's running the show, at least having the ball most of the time. And I know that they run the offense through Robbie. But I mean, what are your thoughts on that in terms of like, who is the guy that's really running the show on this team? Because I don't think it's fully clear yet.
Well, more often than not, it's going to be Quentin Jones. When he's out there, he's going to have the ball in his hands the majority of the time. After that, you're going to see a lot of Deion Brown, then Amari McCautry, a little bit less Trey Green, and then obviously he is the trigger in Josh Schertz's offense. Robbie Avila is going to have the ball in his hands. You're not going to have many 80-minute, moments or stretches, I should say, in this season where Robbie Avila has only 2 assists. And I would venture to almost guarantee that this is the only 80-minute stretch where Robbie Avila is only going to have 2 assists. So he'll get more involved. That'll be a big factor. But when it comes to the guards who are usually running this offense, it's going to be a lot of Quentin Jones. It's going to be a lot of Deion Brown, and then you're going to see some other things from Kellen Thames, Amari McCautry, Trey Green, when they get the board, when they're trying to make things happen.
Yeah, and it's just so clear to me the number one difference for this team this season as compared to last season. It's just the depth is just insane. Last year with just how depleted they were, whether it's from injury or from roster defections. And it's just they can come at teams in waves and just wear them down, where the last year was the opposite. The Billikens are getting worn down late in the second half and losing games that were close down the stretch. We see 5 players scoring double figures against SEMO. I noticed tonight all 9 players in the main rotation, They all scored within the first 15 minutes of the game.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one. That's not what I was thinking. I was going to point out just outside of Kellen Thames, who obviously has a little bit of a different situation. They had a lead. They kind of pulled him for a little bit there. Outside of Kellen Thames, the other 8 guys in the top 9 of the rotation played between 19 and 24 minutes. That is an incredibly tight rotation for having 9 guys in it in college basketball. Josh Schertz, already 2 games in, seems like he has an early idea of what he wants this rotation to look like.
Yeah, and this is something like, it almost reminds me of baseball where you can never have too much starting pitching. Like, someone's going to get hurt at some point. Like, there was a couple scary moments tonight with Thames was down, banged up for a little bit. Dunlap was banged up for a little bit. I hope Thames is okay because
he's good.
He's good to go. Okay. Because he just wasn't quite as effective after he went down, but obviously they didn't need him as much because other guys were stepping up as well. But 6 players in double figures tonight. Sharma led the way with 16. If he, as Bill Raftery likes to say, like, if he gets the puppy set, that thing's going in. Like,
dribble.
Oh man, his release is so sweet. And there's so many weapons on this team. I mean, Green had 11 tonight. Mm-hmm. I feel like we still haven't even seen him really get going with his shot because we know what he can be like. Dunlap too, he can fill it up. He's still finding his way, it appears. But just, I think that's really what really stands out to me. And for Billiken fans that are kind of getting to know this team, there's just so many dudes that can do damage. And that's what really has me so excited.
They're legitimately 9 guys deep. And I love that you're bringing out Ishan Sharma, who led the team in scoring off the bench, 5 of 8 3-point shooting. And then the other side, Kellen Thames has 15 points, and he goes 5 of 6 from the field. No 3-pointers taken. They each got theirs, but they got it in completely different ways. But it's also the exact ways we expected. How did we expect Ishan Sharma to impact this season? 3-point shooting. How did we expect Kellen Thames to do it? Transition play, steals, defense, effort, and that's exactly how he gets his points. So, again, overall, I think tonight probably isn't is a positive. You won big. A lot of your players got their numbers, but still, we can't get over the fact that 30 minutes into this game, it was a 10-point game, and that needs to get worked on. The team has been sloppy. There's a lot of room for improvement, and I think that's something to take if you're a Billikens fan. There is a lot of room for improvement. The ceiling is so high on this team. I'm not sure where we're at right now in kind of the delta, but it's going to be a fun ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think part of this is, there are 9 guys that can start in this team. So there, like you said, there's a lot of competition for playing time. And I think these guys, when they get out there, they want to show out. I feel like, especially early on in the game tonight, it was really sloppy early on. And then, of course, it got sloppy late as, there were guys that don't play a lot that were getting out there. But I think early on in the game in particular, I think they were playing too fast. I think it's a case of guys trying to do too much because they're trying to prove themselves and get more playing time. And so I think that's a big part of what's kind of led to this sloppiness the first couple games.
And yeah, I have a note right here. Feels like they're driving their car just a little too fast. That was one of the notes I had going into the second half. So 100% there. You know what? Let's get into the thing everyone wants to talk about, and that is our good friends over at DraftKings. Promo code STL Sports. Missouri, get ready. The wait is almost over. DraftKings, it's America's top-rated sportsbook, and it's coming soon to the Show Me State. New Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. And when they go live, place a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting in November 17th, so you got a little bit over a week, a little bit under 2 weeks, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. So coming up in about a month, in next Monday, not this one coming up, but the one after that, DraftKings Sportsbook will bring everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions, safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when they go live on December 1st in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Matthew Rocchio joined by Eric Sontag here on the Billikens Central postgame as the Billikens win this one over Chicago State with a big margin. But, Eric, as we're talking about our friends at DraftKings, not big enough if you're on one side of the margin tonight.
Yeah, you were speaking my language there, talking about the gambling. Yeah, the line was 29.5 in this one because DePaul beat Chicago State by 30 in their opener. So I was hoping for a cover for SLU tonight. They only win by 22, so they don't get it done. Obviously the game flies over the total. 154.5 was the total. The Billikens were an under machine last season, in large part just because they played at such a slow pace because they were forced to. They're not going to be an under team this season. I think there could be some value early on in the year, taking overs in these Billiken games. I would have liked a cover tonight. As long as they won by at least 20, I deem that acceptable. I think it's almost necessary if they want to have any prayer at an at-large. Like, you got to run it up against these teams like Chicago State, like SEMO, like Lindenwood. That's the recipes. You got to beat up on these Q4 opponents when you play them. So I think, winning by 22, I think that will probably at least keep them solid in the metrics, keep them flat, if not help. Ken Pom does project this team to go undefeated in the non-con.
Yeah.
So I don't think
they projects that they have better than a 50% chance to win every game in the non-con. And they should clean up in the non-con. Listen, it was supposed to be a 25+ point win tonight, according to Ken Pom. So they're just or 29-point win tonight. So they're just below that. So, does that hurt them? Bottom line is they have one more tune-up game to Laughing Frog 12's point. They allowed 86 points to a bad non-conference team. They got to clean up the turnovers. They got to clean up the sloppy play. They're going to have a chance to do that against Lindenwood. But then GCU, Grand Canyon University, comes in here next week, and that's when things get serious. And it might only be serious for a couple games until it gets kind of loose again and pillowy, but it's going to get serious for those couple of games. So the Billikens better lock in fast.
100%, because those are the games I don't think SLU can lose more than one non-conference game and have a prayer at an at-large bid to the tournament. It just, that's the way it is with these mid-major conferences. Unfortunately, But SLU, they are higher ranked in KenPom than every single opponent they're going to face in non-con. And that includes Minnesota or Stanford, who they're going to play in that second game in that tournament that they're out there playing in. So it's going to be critical. Run it up on these bad teams when you get a chance. And yeah, when you face the Grand Canyons, the San Franciscos, the Minnesota or Stanfords of the world, you have to win those games. Like I said, I don't think you can lose more than one.
They get about 3-4 days off. They face off against Lindenwood here at Chaffetz Arena on Monday evening at 7 p.m. We will have the postgame right here on STL Sports Central, the Billikens Central postgame. A big shout out to John Patrick Van Pelt, who's in the chat. We'll make sure we get that audio version uploaded of this podcast so you can listen to it later tonight. Again, the Billikens with a big win over Chicago State in this game. They will face off against Lindenwood on Monday. We will have the postgame here. They face off against Grand Canyon University here at Chaffetz a week from now, and we will be live after that one with a special guest. Our good friend Bob Ramsey will be joining us after that game. For Eric Sontag, I'm Matthew Rocchio. This has been the Billikens Central postgame, and we're signing off from Chaffetz with another Billikens win. They're 2-0. We'll see if they can keep rolling against Lindenwood on Monday. Have a great night, St. Louis.